Jeffrey Preston Jorgensen was born on January 12, 1964, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, to a teenage mother, Jacqueline, and his biological father, Ted Jorgensen. When he was born, his mother was just 17 and still in high school. His 18-year-old father didn't have much money and had alcohol issues. The Jorgensens were married less than a year before Jacqueline left, taking their infant son with her. When Bezos was 4 years old, his mother remarried Miguel Bezos, a Cuban refugee who'd fled an oppressive regime and who didn't speak a word of English when he first arrived a few months back. But with a strong work ethic and determination in life, he worked his way to University of Albuquerque to obtain a degree in mechanical engineering, which led him to get a job later on at Exxon as an engineer. Miguel decided to adopt Jeff after the wedding and took the responsibility to raise him. His surname was then changed to Bezos. The family then moved to Houston, Texas, where Jeff spent most of his childhood. Much of Jeff Bezos' drive and ambition likely came from his new father. He's been a constant inspiration for him. Jeff was a gifted child. It had been said that at the age of only 3, tired of sleeping in a crib, he found a screwdriver and took the crib apart. He then moved to Miami with his family as a teenager, where he attended Palmetto High School. He was a brilliant student, got straight A's, and was valedictorian of his class. Bezos showed early signs of technical proficiencies. He quickly developed a passion for computers and excelled at creating software programs. As an avid young innovator, he turned his parents' garage into a laboratory and experimented around his house as a child. Young Jeff was always inventing something. Once he invented a solar microwave and even a door buzzer to keep his siblings out of his room. It was during high school that he started his first business, the Dream Institute, an educational summer camp that promoted creative thinking for young students. After graduating with honors from high school, he briefly turned to physics before committing to his love for computers. And he graduated from Princeton University in 1986 with a high distinction in electrical engineering and computer science. Bezos' childhood may have contributed to his obsession with success, and maybe it helped him create that drive and ambition and a relentless need to prove himself. Being adopted is something that Bezos shares with 2 other great internet entrepreneurs, Steve Jobs and Larry Ellison. After his graduation at Princeton, he took on various jobs that helped him develop his entrepreneurial spirit even more. At 28, Bezos was working for the investment firm D.E. Shaw in Wall Street, Manhattan, as a computer specialist. He soon became the firm's youngest senior vice president. There he met novelist Mackenzie Tuttle, who was a research associate at the firm. She soon became his wife as the couple married a year later. They would have 4 children, 3 sons and a daughter they adopted from China. During the rise of the internet in the 1990s, Bezos noticed that it was growing at an incredible rate. More than 2,300% a year, and he saw its enormous potential. He had never seen anything that grew that fast. This sparked his imagination, and he embarked on the entrepreneurial path. His first steps were to research the top 20 mail-order companies at the time. Observing that something was missing, he saw an opportunity on the horizon. He decided that an online company could offer this missing service. And what was the first best product to sell online? Books. Indeed, there were no book mail-order companies yet. In 1994, having had always been an avid reader, Bezos decided to establish an online bookstore. Against his parents' and even his boss's advice to reconsider, he left his job at D.E. Shaw to start his own company at 30 and decided to leave New York. At this time, Bill Gates was already dominating the world of personal computers with Microsoft from his hometown of Seattle. Bezos decided to move there with his wife, seeing as there was plenty of tech talent around. He saw it as a place of opportunity and new beginnings. He was aware that most startups don't work and wasn't confident and sure of what would happen. People were saying that the company would never be profitable, but Bezos decided to take the leap anyway. His parents also ended up to support his decision and invested what they'd saved for retirement in their son's venture. It was later amply rewarded. After writing his business plan on a cross-country road trip from New York City to Seattle, Bezos and his wife settled into their new home in Bellevue, and their new home became his office. He began developing the software for the site in his garage with a handful of employees. There was not much investment in the beginning, and Bezos would drive the packages to the post office himself. He even had his desk made from doors to save money. This was one of his main principles: frugality. We try not to spend money on things that don't matter to customers. On July 6, 1995, a few months later after moving, the startup sold its first book, and Bezos' new business was launched, Amazon, named after the South American biggest river in the world, and it started in a garage. With financial and moral support from family and friends, they started shipping more books. Sales took off immediately. By 1996, the company reached $15.7 million in sales. Within the first few days, I knew this was going to be huge, Bezos told Time magazine. It was obvious that we were onto something much bigger than we'd ever dared to hope. In 1997, 3 years after it was founded, Amazon went public with an IPO of $18 per share. After raising $54 million, Bezos became a millionaire. At the end of trading day on February 2020, shares closed at more than $2,000 each, making such an investment at his IPO worth more than £12 million as of May 2020. In other words, if you invested in Amazon in its early days, you too would have been a millionaire today. He had warned many early investors that there was a 70% chance that Amazon would fail or go bankrupt. But the employees worked hard, and Bezos even harder to drive them. The company grew fast into a large worldwide business. Bezos later claimed Amazon is the Earth's biggest bookstore. Although Amazon was originally an online bookstore, Bezos had always planned to expand to other products. In 1998, it started selling music and videos. One day, he emailed randomly 1,000 selected customers to see what else they would want to buy from the online retailer. Unsurprisingly, the list came back incredibly long. The now self-made billionaire recalled one person writing back, "Windshield wiper blades, because I really need windshield wiper blades." He then realized he could sell anything this way. Thanks to an email to 1,000 random people, Amazon turned into the everything store the following year. It also began selling a variety of other goods, including consumer electronics, home improvement items, software, games, and toys. In other words, anything and everything the customers might need and want. He understood consumer behavior and noticed that people were very convenience motivated. In 1999, Bezos became a billionaire at 35. At the height of his career, Time magazine named him its Person of the Year for 1999, proclaiming him King of Cyber Commerce. The success of Amazon encouraged other retailers, including major book chains, to establish online stores. He set the trend for the future. Nowadays, if you don't have a business online, you don't have a business. By the end of 1999, Amazon had become a multi-billion-dollar corporation, after expanding and setting up operations in Europe.
With less than 3 weeks until Christmas, most of us will be braving the crowds in the coming days in the search for presents. But Christmas shopping doesn't have to be so traumatic. This year, more people than ever will buy their gifts without moving from their seats. But how easy is internet shopping? I tested the system by ordering a book from the online bookseller Amazon. Within minutes of placing my order at my desk, it's being printed out at Amazon's warehouse in Berkshire. A packer then finds the book from the company's stockroom, and just a few hours after the order is placed, the book is dispatched and on its way. The next day, it arrived here at the office.
This is really an educational process. This is something new, it's revolutionary, it's something that people are not used to. But the growth in the market that we've identified shows that they're quickly learning, and it's becoming increasingly important as part of retailing.
Growth of sales on the internet are set to explode in the next 5 years. There's already a great deal of price competition among conventional retailers. This year, they'll be looking over their shoulders at their rivals on the virtual shopping mall.
However, with success came adversity. The company became involved in several notable lawsuits filed by Barnes & Noble and Walmart. But none of the problems compared to the biggest challenge of all, making the company profitable. In 2000, Bezos and the company were put to the ultimate test. The stock fell significantly. While it spent millions developing its software, Amazon lost money every year, and a total of $2.8 billion, and was operating a negative cash flow since it was founded. In January 2001, to deal with the crisis, the company was forced to take drastic measures. It laid off 1,300 workers and had to close distribution centers. It nearly went bankrupt. But Bezos was unstoppable. Through his and his team's efforts, Amazon rebounded from financial instability. The cutback worked. Amazon turned its first ever net profit later in 2001 as sales grew 15%. However, it was small and barely counted. It took Amazon more than 18 years to catch Walmart in market cap, but only 2 years to double it. The company continued its expansion efforts in 2002, and it has been profitable ever since. It not only survived the 2000 crisis, but it flourished. Bezos saw the big picture, and he defied the skeptics, proving that his unconventional business model could succeed.
Liquid hydrogen. Why are we using liquid hydrogen? This is not how Apollo did it. Solar cells, because we want to be able to survive the lunar night. It's what's used to lower things off of the deck onto the surface of the moon. This is an incredible vehicle, and it's going to the moon. Now that we have mapped the entire moon in great detail, we can use those pre-existing maps to tell the system, it's a machine learning system, to tell the system what it should be looking for in terms of craters and other features, and it navigates relative to that. It's time to go back to the moon, this time to stay.
Conquering the internet, reinventing the book trade, and becoming one of the world's richest men would be enough for most. But Bezos is now shooting for the stars with an even bigger plan: colonizing space. As if building an empire on Earth wasn't enough. In September 2000, aside from Amazon, Bezos founded Blue Origin, a human spaceflight company focused on commercial space travel. As a Star Trek fan, he'd expressed for a long time an interest in creating the sci-fi future he'd fallen in love with as a child. When he was just 5, he fell in love with the idea of space exploration. As he watched Neil Armstrong take a first step onto the moon, Bezos claimed that the primary goal of Blue Origin is to preserve the natural resources of Earth by making the human species multiplanetary.
I'm excited to announce that we have put together a national team to go back to the moon. And this is the kind of thing, it's so ambitious, it needs to be done with partners. But this is the only way to get back to the moon fast. And this time we're going back to the moon, and we're not going back to the moon to visit, we're going back to the moon to stay. And we want to have a civilization of growth and dynamism, which means we need to be able to expand out into the solar system. There are so many resources there that we can continue to do interesting things and continue to use large amounts of energy and so on. It's just we probably can't do that on this planet. So my long-term prediction, and this is going to take hundreds of years, so don't worry prematurely, Earth will end up being zoned residential and light industry, and all the heavy industry will be done in space.
In 2011, their first test launch wasn't a success. The rocket crashed. But it fueled their need to make progress.
What we need is to reuse the hardware over and over and over again, and it can't be fake reusability where you bring the vehicle back and inspect everything, x-ray everything, disassemble everything, and then put it all back together. That's not real reusability. You have to land, refuel, and fly again. Our ability to get into Earth orbit is kind of right on the edge of what's possible, even when you do it in an expendable fashion. So when you add the extra mass and systems, landing gear, and so on required for reusability, you're making your engineering challenge even harder. But it's worth it, and it's possible, and that's what we need to achieve. So that's why I started Blue Origin. I think it's the most important work I'm doing if I look over the really long term.
Fortunately, the second test flight was a success. The New Shepard, a multi-passenger rocket, reached space in 2015 and afterwards successfully landed back on Earth. Bezos is aiming to make space travel safer and more affordable. In July 2018, it was announced that he had priced commercial spaceflight tickets around $300,000 per person. Since 2016, he's been investing $1 billion per year from his Amazon winnings into Blue Origin in an effort to support his ambitious goals. He has been compared to Elon Musk, as the billionaire also prioritized rockets among his business interests. Their intergalactic rivalry is fueling the modern space race. For Bezos, this is a childhood dream. If I'm 80 years old looking back on my life, and the one thing I've done is to make it so that there's this gigantic entrepreneurial explosion in space for the next generation, said Bezos, I will be a happy, happy man. But he had more terrestrial innovations on his mind as well.
Well, I think what you're starting to see is some real differentiation between internet companies that are trying to build lasting companies, and I certainly consider Amazon.com one of those, and companies that were trying to build stocks, trying to ride the momentum of the internet. And so one of the things that you see, for example, is a lot of internet companies now raising prices, realizing that the things they were doing before just weren't sustainable. At Amazon, we're actually lowering prices. We just reviewed our top 1,000 best-selling electronics, and actually decided our prices were too high. We're lowering those. So we're actually doing the opposite. And I think you're going to see a lot of differentiation there. Companies like Amazon.com working to build important, lasting companies, not sort of flash-in-the-pan internet stock.
By 2005, Amazon was offering a vast range of products, and it diversified even further in 2006 by introducing Amazon Web Services, a cloud computer service that eventually became the largest such service in the world. That same year, it revealed a revolutionary new program, Amazon Prime, which offered customers to have the product delivered to their door in 2 days, and later 1 day, for a yearly fee. It has become the most successful membership program in history. More than 150 million users would sign up for free shipping. In 2007, Amazon launched a new groundbreaking product, the Kindle, a digital book reader with internet connection that allowed them to sell books online and enabled customers to buy, download, read, and store a vast collection of books on demand.
Accessible, interactive, limitless.
Mr. and Mrs. Brown first met Paddington on a railway platform.
It's a daunting new world for the traditionalist, but child's play for the download generation.
It's easier than going into a library and searching through.
I often have like 6 or 7 books to take with me to school. If I've got them all on here, I just have to carry this.
But there's something more personal about getting a book, and you can pass them down to generations, whereas these, you've just got it all stored on there and there's nothing exciting about it.
No one in the industry is suggesting that the conventional bookshop is dead, and digitization would be anathema to some.
Real convenient, real easy to use. You can change the font size to suit your eye. You can just flip the pages through. So folks are finding the product itself really convenient, and of course it's delivered in a very convenient way.
The electronic market is really booming. We're seeing 600% growth year on year in ebooks this year, and this is in a frankly stagnant book selling market. So I think we're seeing massive growth there. We're seeing rapid adoption of e-reading as a way of consuming content.
The technology means authors like Sophie Nichols can circulate their work without a publisher. One of her ebooks became a bestseller.
I've been able to put a book together, get it edited and proofread myself, put it out there literally with the click of a few buttons. It's so simple to do, and start connecting with readers. So I'm connecting with thousands of readers. It's so exciting. From a revenue point of view,
there'll be those who'll say it will never really catch on. All the evidence points to the fact that it already has.
After revolutionizing the way we buy books, he transformed the way we read them as well. The first major challenge to the Kindle's supremacy was when Apple introduced its iPad tablet. But Bezos responded aggressively, cutting the price and adding new features. From 2002 to 2007, his net worth quadrupled to $8.7 billion. After the financial crisis of 2008, his net worth decreased, but it rose again in 2010. In 2010, Amazon announced that sales of Kindle books had surpassed those of hardcover books. That same year, Amazon moved into making its own television shows and movies with its Amazon Studios division. From 1995 to 2018, Amazon net sales increased from $510,000 to almost $233 billion. In early 2013, an originally secret deal sent ripples through the tech industry. The CIA signed a huge $600 million contract with Amazon Web Services for cloud computing. This encouraged trust in Bezos. If one of the world's largest intelligence services trusted Amazon, then others could trust it too. In fact, it became one of the most trusted brands in the world.
It's easy to put up a website, but it's hard to make it really good, and it's hard to make sure that the stuff arrives in good condition, on time, as ordered. So it's sort of the reliability of the end-to-end customer experience. Well, certainly it'll get less fascinating and new, just like, space shuttle launches don't get covered the same way they used to. And so the e-commerce is new, it is important, and that's why people are so interested in it. But it will become an important part of the economy. And one of the new things that's happening is more and more people are figuring out how to sell online. And it's getting easier and easier for people to sell online. Just yesterday, we announced Amazon.com auctions, and basically that makes it possible for millions of people to sell their own stuff online at Amazon.com, where there's lots of traffic.
In October of that year, it was recognized as the largest online shopping retailer in the world. On August 5th of that year, Bezos made headlines when he announced his purchase of the Washington Post for $250 million in cash. He made the newspaper digital and reinvented it as a media company, which resulted in the paper becoming profitable again in 2016, for the first time in many years. Bezos' wealth shot up in 2014 as he entered the top 10 in Forbes' list. From then on, it hasn't stopped to increase. In 2015, Bezos' biological father, Jorgensen, died age 70, without ever meeting his son. He had never wanted to meet him, and his relationship with him always remained estranged. On November 24, 2017, he hit milestones when his net worth surpassed $100 billion after a hit record on Black Friday. On March 6, 2018, Bezos officially seized the #1 spot on the list of the world's billionaires. He unseated Bill Gates, worth $90 billion at the time, and officially became the richest person on the planet, when his net worth rose to $112 billion, the biggest single-year gain ever. And what could the richest man in the world possibly want? Apparently not a fancy car. He still drives his Honda Accord, claiming it's a perfectly good car. But how about a robot dog? He made headlines that year when he was seen going on a walk with a dog named Spot Mini.
He's the richest man in the world, and he was raised here in South Florida. What more could Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos possibly want? Well, how about a robotic dog to walk? Here he is in a picture that he posted to Twitter, taking part in Boston Dynamics invite-only robotics conference. The dog is named Spot Mini, and if it looks familiar, it should, because it went viral when it opened a door by itself last month.
Yeah, we reported on him before, but the real dogs are so much fun.
Yes, Bezos is eccentric and known for his weird habits. Once he was spotted eating a cooked cockroach. The happy billionaire is also known for his distinctive laugh. But back to Amazon. In 2016, Amazon alone had sold an average of more than 70 pounds worth of goods to every man, woman, and child in Britain. More than half of all online retail sales. The amount of traffic is outstanding.
Nearly 20% of all retail sales are now made online, and that's growing. An online-only sales tax could be one way to end the advantage internet shops have over bricks and mortar.
There was a time when sales of books you could actually get your hands on were on a slippery slope. It was all about the e-book. But this year the number of physical copies being sold has actually risen, and food writer and fiction author Prue Leith isn't at all surprised.
If you talk to people who read books, what they love is not just the story in the book, it's the feel of the book, isn't it? It's not, of course, in a hard copy of a book you get the maps, the pictures and everything else, but also, even if it's just a textbook, if it's a nicely printed hardback, it's lovely, and I'm not surprised people have gone back to them.
It's a big day for bookstores like this one in Chipping Norton. Super Thursday sees around 400 hardbacks hitting the shelves, ready to be wrapped up for Christmas. They stopped selling e-readers due to a lack of interest, but many of their customers can see the appeal of both.
Personally, I can't see an end to a physical book because I think they're a piece of art as well. It's great to have in your home or bookshelf.
Always prefer the physical book, but going on holiday when you've got weight restrictions.
E-printing will obviously increase. I mean, it's bound to, but I don't think books will ever go away.
It may be that those who want an e-reader already have one and don't feel the need to upgrade. The question is whether they'll replace them when they finally give up the ghost.
Get big fast was Bezos' mantra that he developed to push Amazon forward. And big fast it got. In fact, critics say that Amazon, much like Google and Facebook, has grown too large and powerful to be trusted. Because of its enormous scale, it became increasingly on the radar of politicians and regulators. From how it operates its power to even its impact on the environment, it is under scrutiny. In March 2018, Bezos was accused by former U.S. President Donald Trump of sales tax avoidance, misusing postal routes, and anti-competitive practices. Amazon's share price fell by 9% in response to the president's negative comments. Bezos has earned a reputation for his aggressive business strategies, with little concern for public charity and social welfare. But for him, this is what it takes to have a successful business. Bezos' mysterious persona have drawn controversy and public attention. In May 2014, the International Trade Union Confederation named him the world's worst boss. Supervillain in the eyes of many, he became a symbolically dominant business figure in modern society. However, he continues to look beyond it all, and has grasped the idea that not all big companies are loved. In April 2018, another scandal broke out. The nonprofit group New Food Economy revealed that Amazon was underpaying and exploiting its employees. They found that 1/3 of Amazon workers in Arizona and 1/10 of Amazon workers in Pennsylvania and Ohio relied on food stamps. Criticisms continued in September 2018 when Senator Bernie Sanders also went after the retail giant and attacked Amazon on the way it treated its workers and is not paying enough taxes. Referring to Bezos' Blue Origin company, Bernie said, "Instead of attempting to explore Mars or go to the moon, how about Jeff Bezos pays his workers a living wage?" In response, Amazon pointed to the 130,000 jobs it created in 2017 and said the calculation of its median salary included part-time workers. However, on October 2, 2018, Bezos announced a company-wide wage increase, which Sanders applauded. It is clear that Bezos has built an empire, but at what cost? Another reason for his negative public image is that the world's richest man isn't well known for his philanthropy. Despite giving millions to support gay marriage, immigrant rights, and fighting homelessness, he was often characterized as being too cautious with his wealth. People noticed his relative lack of philanthropy compared to other billionaires like Bill Gates. Though he is the first person in modern history to accumulate a fortune of over $100 billion, his charitable history remains a mystery. And his known donations are controversial as some doubt his intentions and don't agree with his business tactics. In September 2018, Business Insider reported that Bezos was the only one of the top 5 billionaires in the world who had not signed the Giving Pledge, an initiative created by Bill Gates and Warren Buffett that encourages wealthy people to give away a majority of their wealth. To this day, he still hasn't signed it, and it isn't completely clear as why. But after the scandals, his image began to shift. He began to spend his money more freely. On June 15, 2017, he posted a message on Twitter asking for ideas for philanthropy. "I'm thinking about a philanthropy strategy that is the opposite of how I mostly spend my time working on the long term." At the time of the post, Bezos' lifetime spending on charitable causes was estimated to be $100 million. Many responded by asking Bezos to pay higher wages to Amazon workers. Bezos announced in September 2018 that he would commit approximately $2 billion to fund the Day One Fund, to support homeless families and early childhood education for low-income communities. In February 2020, Bezos pledged $10 billion to protect the planet and combat climate change through the Bezos Earth Fund. He also donated $100 million to food banks through Feeding America during the COVID-19 pandemic. In January 2019, after 25 years of marriage, he and his wife Mackenzie divorced. The settlement was the largest ever recorded at $35 billion. She went on to sign the Giving Pledge on her own. So Bezos' journey hasn't been without challenges, but he still managed to thrive. In the first months of 2020, a global pandemic shook the whole world's economy. It is rare to see a company doing well during a pandemic that has left millions of people unemployed, though the tech industry has been doing remarkably well. Even during a time of economic turmoil, Amazon grew with more customers than ever before. As people all over the world sheltered at home during the COVID-19 outbreak, the online demand exploded, and Amazon doubled its profits since 2019. The company has expanded rapidly to address the needs, pushing its workforce to more than 1 million people, while physical stores continue to struggle. On January 7, 2021, with his wealth growing at an unprecedented rate, Tesla CEO Elon Musk overtook Bezos as the world's richest person. Seeing that he had done all he could for Amazon and that he'd brought it to where it is today, Bezos announced on February 2, 2021, that he would step down as the CEO of Amazon sometime in late 2021 and transition into the role of executive chairman. He is due to be replaced by Andy Jassy, the chief of Amazon's cloud computing division. Bezos has told his employees that this transition would give him the time and energy to focus on the Day One Fund, the Bezos Earth Fund, Blue Origin, the Washington Post. Bezos' empire now stretches far and wide. Amazon bought Whole Foods in 2017 and also owns companies like Zappos and Twitch. He has also invested in companies like Google, Twitter, Uber, among many others. Jeff Bezos is brilliant but controversial. However, he's not been afraid of failure, and he encourages people to be bold. What didn't fail him was his perseverance and patience. The empire he built wasn't made in one day. It took Amazon 26 years to get where it is today. After investing in huge new areas like Amazon Prime, Amazon Web Services, and most recently the Alexa, its AI virtual assistant, it continues to improve and innovate constantly. Jeff Bezos is an e-commerce pioneer. Money isn't what drives him, but passion, and a need to make the world better. His successful business ventures have made him one of the richest people in the world. Amazon was developed on the principle of customer obsession as opposed to competitor obsession, and with a focus on growth and long-term vision over net income. Today, with over 1 million employees all around the world, Amazon also sells millions of different products, from toilet paper to groceries to electronics, fashion, and furniture. Bezos declared, "I took the less safe path to follow my passion, and I am proud of that choice." By combining optimism, motivation, and grand visions, he's become a legend of the tech industry. From a little boy experimenting in his parents' garage and son of a teen mom, to risk-taking and visionary tech titan, he's the example of modern society's self-made billionaires. He said that one of the great gifts in his life was his mother and father, and how they had been incredible role models for him. He is proud of his mother for all the sacrifices she made for herself and her family. He thanked her in a tweet on Mother's Day 2017. "I won the lottery with my mom. Thanks for literally everything, Mom." From him we learned that the simplest ideas are worth trying. As Bezos has shown, you can take a simple idea and turn it into something bigger. Amazon has defied the odds. After an extraordinary growth in size, influence, and ambition, the multi-billion-dollar empire revolutionized the industry. Jeff Bezos' success journey is inspiring. This is the story of a young, ambitious man who forever changed the way we buy just about everything. Growing a tiny business from his home garage into the world's most successful and influential company in modern history.